Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest. Today we are going to work on my childhood documented 80s style album again, and we are going to be working on prompts 11 and 12, which is snacks and heartthrobs. And a lot of this again was done digitally, so I think this will be fairly quick and simple to put together today. So I'm going to go ahead and get you on fast forward. Let's do it. Okay, I am taking my album apart as I've done each time so that I can work flat on the paper on my craft table. And our first prompt today is snacks. So I gave it the title of Rad Snacks just to make it be a little bit more interesting. And the page that I'm using is another one from the Megan's Designs kit from Sweet Shop Designs, and I've got that linked below. It was, I believe, maybe a 3x4 card, and I just increased it to the size that I needed it, which is about 6 1/4 by 8 3/4. And then I went ahead and did the title also right there in Photoshop. I think that is the Neon 80s font on that one. And then for the pictures of the snacks today, I kind of took the easy way out and just made the little collage in Photoshop and printed them right out onto photo paper instead of printing them and cutting them and adhering them down to another piece of paper. So I kind of cheated a little bit on that one today, and it made it much easier and much quicker to put together. But I chose Fun Dip and Space Dust and Astro Pops and Garbage Candy and Pudding Pops and Bonkers, and then that Nestle Quick in the real metal tin and the Big League Chew. Those were some of my favorites. All right, so now we are looking at the prompt for heartthrobs. And I was going through and looking for images of the ones that I would have considered my heartthrobs in the 80s. And I came across this one from The Outsiders, the movie The Outsiders. And I mean, it pretty much has them all in one place there. There may have been one or two more I might have added. I wasn't a super big Ralph Macchio fan, but he's okay. So when I saw this picture, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to use this one photo and let it do the job for me. So again, I'm working with some of those Sweet Shop Designs papers from Megan's Creations. And I loved this one. It's the blue background. I put this big heart on it, and then I drug in this little cluster that she had made that looks kind of like a label. So I put all that together, and then I wanted to use this bright pink that still has kind of that checked pattern on it as the other page to bring in the color from the heart. So this one was very, very colorful. And I decided I would just write in my title. So I did that in this hot pink Sharpie marker. And then I'm writing out the names here, and I messed up Emilio Estevez. I also messed it up in when I wrote it onto my little planning page up there. So I just kept wanting to put an E instead of an I, and I just decided I couldn't live with it. So I grabbed out my, this one is the rounded notebook edge punch. I also have the one that makes like square holes, but I wanted to use this one and just did some cardstock. And I'm going to write out the names again and adhere that down. And then I kind of ruffle up. I don't put any adhesive actually on like the notebook edge, and I kind of ruffle it a bit. Of course, it gets flattened when the book is closed, but it still just kind of has that folded look. You can tell that they've actually been folded once you look back in the album. So I'm going to adhere that. There I go, ruffling them up a bit, just giving them a little bit of texture and interest. And then I'm just going to adhere that down and then get that put in place with score tape as I've done with all of these pages. And I ran out of tape there. So all of these pages go on to what I'm calling my base pages, which is from Nina 110-pound cardstock that I cut to size, scored, and hole punched ahead of time. So I would be ready to go and not have to keep doing that every time I was getting ready to work on a page. So I am going to put this one in place and then go ahead and put my album back together. And then I need to pull over my numbers and get those on my pages. And again, this was just a set from Recollections, which is the Michaels brand, and they reminded me like of varsity letter numbers, like on a varsity jacket or something. So I thought that was very high schooly, and so that's why I chose them. And plus they're flat, and there's a million of them in this package. So there are the numbers in place. And then I'm looking at this one with my thinking fingers, and it just seems a little bit flat. So I decide to get my Posca paint pen in black, and this is the little bit thicker one. I have some thinner ones, but I don't have a black thin one, but which I like the weight of this one. I think it's fine. And just do some different little doodles on the page there. That's definitely something I would have done as a teenager. So adding just those little stripes and swirls and dashes. And again, I think it also kind of ties in the number with the black on it, as well as some of the dark images from the other side. So I just thought that looked a little bit more cohesive. And then of course I had to pull out my markers and go around this picture of the heartthrobs. And once I do that, that finishes us up for the day. So I'll be back to talk to you in just a second. Okay, that's where I'm calling this one done. So I really like how both of these turned out. I've got a little scratch paper here because I haven't been long put that on here. So I wanted to make sure it was dry. That the scribble markers, if you haven't seen in any of the earlier videos where I shared these Doodle Dazzles, and they're called shimmer markers. I saw a Facebook post on them, like a little, sponsored ad a few months back, and ordered them. And so they've come in handy with this project because I used to have some similar to this in the 80s when I was a teenager. So I went very simple with just printing out the photos instead of, printing them separately and adhering them down. I did want to come back and do this little doodle border. I just felt like the page looked, I hate to say it looked plain because it's anything but plain with all those colors, but I just felt like it needed a little something. It was looking a little flat maybe. And then I love how this one turned out with the pink being picked up in a few different places. And then using my little notebook punch to make this look like I had torn it out of a notebook and added it into my little scrapbook. So I'm very happy with how both of these turned out. I'm going to stick that back in there just to be on the safe side. When we come back next time, we'll be working on Saturday morning cartoons and then collections, the things that I collected when I was a teenager and even like preteen in the 80s. So that's what we will work on next time. If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up down below, and I certainly appreciate you stopping by today. It means more than you will ever know. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do so and become a part of my little YouTube family. There will be some close-ups at the end as well as over on Instagram, and I'd love for you to follow me there as well. And until I see you next time, I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.